Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to the NI Golf Channel vlogcast lockdown episode
Two.
episode two. It absolutely is. And on the program this evening, we will be talking to Mr. Cormac Sharvin, fingers crossed,
Fingers
European
crossed, yes.
Tour player who's currently having a little bit of a vacation, aren't we all? So we'll
Mm-hmm.
find out what Cormac's up to, what he thinks of the whole situation, and indeed, in light of what the European Tour have said just yesterday about the ongoing season and how it's going to look for the future. We'll find out his thoughts on that because he would have got a letter from the European Tour spelling it all out. So we'll see what he has to say about that. Also on the program, Mr. Kelly.
Well, we're going to talk about the major season that's been set up and what you think of it, whether it's even a runner, which is the big issue. And also, we're probably going to talk a wee bit about how everybody's waiting to get out. Like, look at that, their phone went off. Hold on a second. Hello.
It's live.
Hello, listen, I'm on a call here. Can I speak to you later? Bye.
That's the chairman of the Golf Writers Association on the hotline.
That was my dad. That was my dad. Cormac's just tagged us there and said this tack. So he's obviously having some IT issues, but hopefully he keeps trying.
That's okay, no problem. It'll allow me the time to go off on a rant. I think it's about time. I don't want to sound selfish. I don't want to sound stupid. It's hard not to because I usually am. But I'm going to go off on a rant about being able to play golf. So,
okay.
I had a friend talk to me yesterday who is a bus driver. So, and he's a golfer. So he's allowed to put himself arguably in harm's way as a bus driver within, 6 feet, 3 feet, 2 feet of people getting on the bus. But he's not allowed to stand 180 yards away from somebody on a golf course and play golf on his own. So he was given off to me thinking I would, I'm of the same opinion, and okay, it's a way down the priority list in things that the health minister or all these advisors have to think about. But you would think that maybe, it's now time to kind of have a wee bit of thought about it and think, okay, the sports that can have very strict rules and can enforce social distancing, now is the time possibly to start thinking, can we release it? Because just on the news tonight, they were saying it's another 3 weeks at least of the same rules. So that's what Arlene and Michelle were saying. So is the time now for the Sports Council, for the governing bodies to step in and say, okay, well, what about this? If people can stick to the rules, we can go to the shop. We're able to stay 2 meters away from somebody in a shop. Can we stay 180 yards away from somebody on a golf course? We absolutely can. Even if it has to be one ball, even if the car parks and the golf courses have to have 2 or 3 spaces between cars roped off. The lockers are closed, we know that. The clubhouse is closed, we know that. There's probably no competitions, we know that. But just to give people a chance to go out and hit a ball, we can exercise for an hour. You can walk past somebody on a towpath within 3 feet. As long as you're out for an hour, it takes an hour to play 9 holes on your own. What's the crack?
I would say that there seems to be a genuine move about talking about golf.
Cormac Sharvin!
Cormac Sharvin! How are you?
I just about managed to get logged on there.
Oh, brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. It's good to see you. Thanks for coming on. We're just talking about Morris has had a big rant there about why he feels golf courses should be open for one ball so people can get out for a bit of exercise. What do you think?
Yeah, I can't see why not. I guess the government probably tried to close all different clubs, which probably didn't really take it. It's such a bigger problem that they probably didn't take golf and anything into consideration, whether it would be okay or not. Obviously, golf courses are pretty. There's no one around. If you can play even 2 balls and just social distance, I can't see the problem with it. Hopefully that'll be the first thing that will be lifted, and hopefully we can get on to the golf courses soon.
Yeah, well, I was just saying, Cormac, it's it's probably way down the priority list in terms of what people have had to think about. But now is the time really where we should be thinking, okay, if it's a one ball, you can go out. It takes an hour to play 9 holes on your own.
Yeah,
You can stay well away from everybody. The car park can be roped off. There's no issues. You can stand in a supermarket queue 3 feet away from somebody, 6 feet,
yeah,
arguably, but you can't go out and stand 180 yards off a golf course. The tees could be booked. You could still stay well away from the tee while somebody's on the tee. Once they're away, they're 180,
yeah,
200 yards. In your case, 300 yards further down the fairway.
yeah.
So really, you would fingers crossed they'll kind of put this into some perspective. So
Even slots every 30 minutes or something like that to
Yeah.
keep grips away from getting stuck on tees and stuff. I think is probably not a bad idea.
There appears to be, from what I'm reading, a certain movement about getting golf courses open again. There was people at the weekend talking about getting golf courses open basically as open space for people to walk on. And I
Yeah,
immediately went on, well, if you're going to walk on a golf course, you might as well play on a golf course.
yeah,
I think Morris is right, and you're right. It's way down the pecking order of things that can be done, but it's the sort of thing, fingers crossed, could be done quite quickly.
yeah.
Let's
Hopefully.
agree a plan and let's do it and let's see how it goes. That's my thoughts anyway.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And Cormac, from your point of view, I presume, you're living in Dublin, down Dublin at the minute. How have you found the whole self isolation, the keeping yourself away from things? How's it going?
Yeah, it's not going too bad. I've had a few things to do. I've been doing online sessions with my strength and conditioning coach. I've been doing a few things around my behaviors and trying to work on my behaviors so that I felt needed work on, which will help me from a golf perspective. So I've been kind of cracking on with that and yeah, chilling out, playing FIFA.
when you say your behaviors, is this in terms of temperament and sort of the way you're reacting on the course to certain shots, or?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it's kind of broad. Behaviors, just like for instance, how your mind processes things. For instance, if you miss a putt, how that's processed, and just working on getting better in those aspects. And I haven't really had the time to work on these things, and now that I've got the time, it could be. Hopefully, it can be a bit of a blessing in disguise for me, anyway.
So
So
you would, I don't know, did you get the letter yesterday from Keith Pelly, or maybe it was the day before, just about the way the tour is going to be shaping up if and when we get back to playing golf?
I got something. I actually must check. His email's always going to my junk, so I haven't checked my junk emails. But I'll have a look.
That's that frigger Keith Pelly again. Jump, jump.
I don't know why that is. I think everyone has the same problem. To be honest, I don't know why.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
you've read, I'm sure, some of the sort of the outlines of what he's talking about, and about a quite different tour if and when it comes back.
yeah, I think it's going to be a different world when the world comes back. Even I think we can't really expect what we had before in terms of the number of events, maybe the prize funds you're playing with for the infrastructure around events. So I don't think for a while we can't really expect too much on that basis. But I think hopefully it's just a case of hopefully we can at least get it back up and running, and then hopefully time will start to heal things.
Because tour golf had got to quite a good place in terms of Rolex, the prize monies in general. One of the things he mentioned in the email was there may not even be any courtesy cars. I'm sure that's a minor thing down people's list if
Yeah.
they can get playing competitive golf. But
Yeah,
it just shows you the scale of how things will be changing in terms of the sponsors are obviously going to feel a hit, and that
yeah,
just filters down. He was talking about redundancies in the European Tour. He was talking about furloughing the staff. So it's incredible the impact that this is having on so many levels.
at the end of the day, the European Tour is a business, and a lot of businesses are going to really feel the hit of this lockdown, and hopefully it doesn't take too much of a hit, and hopefully we can get playing golf tournaments and get back playing as soon as possible, I guess.
And in terms of how the season is looking, just from the way it was kind of spelled out in the email, it's going to be incredibly condensed. They're talking about doing 2, maybe even 3 events in the space of 2 weeks.
Yeah,
How do you think
I did
players
read
will
the
react to
email
that?
now that you're talking about it. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what to think of that. Really, I think I think if you're talking about having 3 events in the 1 week, I think we'll be happy to have 1 event on 1 week. So, yeah, I don't know if they're maybe going to try and bring Challenge Tour and European Tour together and have maybe, if he's thinking about that, and maybe having a few more co-sanctioned events. I don't know, but I think I just hope we're lucky enough to be playing again this year.
Mhm. You see, I think Cormac, one of the things that, you know, all when they got together, when the tours got together and came up with their plan for the majors and all later in the year, and we'll just talk about that later. Um, and the PGA Tour sort of outlined an idea, possibly to start in June. The European Tour was quite, the European Tour said that they'd announce a bit more later on, and it's because of European Tour, so it's spread out over so many countries.
Yeah,
So the flights thing is a big issue. Like, how are you going to get on a flight and get to somewhere?
yeah,
And you have to quarantine for a couple of weeks. I presume that's what they're thinking about for hosting an event or 2 or 3 events in the same area, because
yeah,
you could
yeah.
get quarantined and stay there.
Yeah, I just think the biggest problem is I think in terms of worldwide sport, I think golf is for me anyway could be one of the last things to come back in terms of
Yeah.
like a country's, for instance, if the German Open and the German government allow 160 players and caddies flying from all over the world from all different areas that have been really badly affected, areas that maybe haven't had the lockdown procedures, and flying them all into their country to have an event. I think that's going to be difficult to organize events in terms of that. I think like the likes of Premier League football and stuff will come back quicker because you're in the same country, you don't have to fly. But it could be a case of having an Irish tour, an English tour, and German tour. Who knows? But
I think that was one of the things that Pelly had said in his email, that they wouldn't rule out doing multiple tournaments at one venue. So you could actually be in one place, maybe it's Wentworth, and stay there for 6 weeks or whatever and play various events.
That might
yeah,
be a bad idea. It could be an interesting idea, actually. In many respects, you can get everybody on site, get a few camera people on site, get it all televised and everything, because everybody be cleared then. It'd all be in one. You wouldn't have to bring anybody in now. Fans aren't going to be there. Fans aren't going to be there. But for some players, Cormac, the lack of fans, those people who play in the Challenge Tour would be used to if you not having too many fans around some of those
no,
events.
yeah. I think that's probably going to be the start. But I think once you get into the likes of the Ryder Cup and no fans, I think it just takes away from the whole idea of what a Ryder Cup is and what majors are. I don't mind playing regular events with no fans. I've done that for 2 or 3 years, but I think from a spectator's point of view and from a consumer point of view, I think the Ryder Cup and the majors probably, in my opinion, I don't think they should go ahead until it's all clear and you can actually get fans on the golf course, because I think that adds to the whole experience of the event.
Well, I think the vast majority of people would agree with you, and even from what they're saying, just the commissioners, obviously Monaghan and Pelly, are saying, the Ryder Cup kind of, they're intimating that it would have an audience and a crowd. And, can you imagine Augusta with no crowd? And they've obviously put it off till November. So I saw Rory talking about the temperatures in Augusta in November. So it's crazy, crazy, crazy times.
Yeah,
It's
very,
hard
it
to
really
understand
is.
how it'll all go ahead and what way it'll pan out over the next sort of year.
Yeah.
In terms of you on the European tour, this is your first proper rattle at it.
Yeah.
Up until now, how have you found it? How's the experience been? What's the differences been between other tours and the European tour?
I've only played 4 events, like as a European tour member, but yeah, it's like you're looked after much better in the European tour than you are on the Challenge Tour. I know that mightn't be the case when we come back, but yeah, it's in terms of like quality of fields. I think I really feel like the Challenge Tour, like, there's not much difference. I think the difference really comes, and there's a little bit more depth in the European Tour. Like, I feel like the top guys in the Challenge Tour, so like the top 60, 70 guys on the Challenge Tour could all play European Tour and be able to compete on the European Tour. I think it's essentially getting there. But I think the obviously when you get to like Rolex events and majors and stuff, you've obviously got the best top 50 guys in the world who are the best players, and then that makes a huge difference to fields, etc. But I feel like normal bog standard European Tour events, there's not much difference.
And in terms of you yourself, did it feel different from your point of view in terms of pressure? You talked about your behavior coaching there. Did you feel more pressure about those putts, or did it feel in your head bigger than maybe it deserved to be?
Yeah, the putts was just an example, but no, not at all. I don't feel any different. I try and approach every event and take it as they are. I haven't felt any difference. I haven't felt uncomfortable playing European Tour. I've felt the same level of comfort as I have playing Challenge Tour. I've obviously played a few European Tour events before, so it wasn't new to me. I've played well in a few as well, so I think it's a comforting place for me to play on the European Tour. I don't feel like it's a difficult step. Not that it's a step up for me, but I don't feel like it's out of my grasp. Let's say.
And what about Cormac? What about you were talking earlier about the European Tour being a business? You know, Cormac Sharvin Inc. is a business as well. So what's Cormac Sharvin Inc.? How's things for you? And without being able to play and without being able to earn a few pounds and stuff like that, are you concerned that if this goes on for much longer, the financial implications could be significant?
Yeah, of course. I think that's everyone's thinking along those lines. But it probably would have been nice for me if I had got 10, 15 European Tour events under my belt, and I probably would have been a little more stable financially. But I actually had a chat to a guy not that long ago, and I was like, if I hadn't got my card this year, I probably would have been in a difficult place. I might have had to reevaluate and what I was doing and what I was going to do, because another year for me, like on a lower tour, would probably bring complications in terms of maybe obviously with a lot of companies taking a hit in terms of sponsorship and things that I mightn't have been able to keep playing. But so I'm just I feel pretty lucky that I had a good year last year, and that I made a few quid, and that I have that level of comfort. And now that I've got my European Tour card, so when things start back up, I will be playing as a European Tour member, not as a Challenge Tour member, essentially.
You're ranking as well. And in terms of, you know, people hear them talking about, you're watching them on Twitter and social media, and they're saying, you know, okay, Shane Lowry have come out earlier this week and said he never take playing 9 holes for granted ever again. But what are you missing? Are you missing? Is it the competitive thing? Is it the camaraderie? Do you enjoy the travel? What are you missing from the whole thing?
I think at the start it was fine. Like, I feel like I've got a lot of work that I can get done, and I feel like I can come back a better player even without hitting golf balls. I'm lucky enough to have a really good team around me and who see this as an opportunity to improve. So that's the biggest thing for me, and I might have never had this time. It's things that my team and the people around me probably had their eyes on, getting a bit of time to improve these things. And now that this has came along, I've got time to improve certain aspects of my game, which can be really powerful, I feel. But yeah, I think the hardest thing is when you get up in the morning and you go for a coffee outside in your balcony and it's 16 degrees and not a breath of wind, you're like, oh, I would just love to play golf.
Yeah, where I could be.
And I see your old home course, Ardglass, is looking absolutely stunning at the minute. So there's many people wishing they could get out and play not only just Ardglass but everywhere, because the greenkeepers are still working. They're obviously doing a great job and trying to get the course ready for when we all go back. But Ardglass in particular is looking ridiculously good.
Yeah, I was actually chatting to Paul, was it yesterday, and he's been out and about and walking around, and things are starting to bed in really well. And yeah, there's nothing better than Ardglass on a calm day and 15, 16 degrees and you can play in a t-shirt. I think there's nowhere nicer in the world to play golf when it's nice weather. So
Hold
yeah,
on, do you get nice weather or glass? I've never played it in then.
yeah, I can't really remember any good days, but you get the odd good day.
Awesome or glass.
You were saying there about your team, Cormac. How are they feeling then about the whole situation? And obviously your team need paid and they're probably working with other players as well. But how's it affecting those guys?
Yeah, well, my team or my performance coach in particular, he works in CIT, Cork Institute of Technology. He's a lecturer there in skill acquisition and sport performance. So that's his main job, and he just works with me off that. He works with a lot of different people in different sports and coaches in general, like coach development. He works in that sector. So I think he's pretty lucky that he has he's a lecturer, so he works at the university, so he'll still be fine. And my S&C coach, he actually has just finished his doctorate, so he's on the same boat really. So yeah, but I'm sure they're going to feel I mean, everyone's feeling it, the financial implications of not being able to work, and maybe not maybe being able to work in the near future with the things that could happen. Obviously, we've seen it in 2008, the effect it had, and I think from what they're saying, it could be even worse than that. So I think it's a difficult time for everyone, and I think it's, for me, I think it's, and everyone, I think it's important to realize that it's not like you fell into difficulties on your own. There's a lot of people that are feeling the same as you. So it's I think it's just important to see that.
See the wider picture.
You said there about get out onto your balcony and there's not a brethren. So I'm guessing then, do you live in an apartment in Dublin? And if
I
that's
do.
the case, do you have any way of, like, a coach looking at your swing or anything like that? Do you have any facilities at all, or at the
No.
minute it's just working on the mental stuff?
Yeah, I'm just working on mental stuff. I haven't hit the ball in 4 weeks. I've hit a few putts on a yoga mat. I've been working out a bit with my S&C coach, and yeah, I've never really been a person who looks into my swing anyway. So I find that I've went down that route a little bit, and it's made me worse. So I'm not really bothered about hitting balls needlessly into a net. I don't see the benefit of that for me anyway.
Okay. So even if you were, had access to a golf course, you'd be the type of fella would go and play a few holes rather than batter balls.
Yeah, I'm not a ball beater at all. I went down that route a little bit, and I felt the detriment of it. I felt like I went totally this way rather than this way. So I've kind of I've never really been a ball beater, and I've always improved through playing and playing for something meaningful, or getting onto the course and hitting 3 balls, different shapes into different flags and things like that. I've been more of I feel like I develop better as a player in that sense.
Okay, excellent.
So then your
We were
normal your normal practice routine then, Cormac, what would that entail? I mean, are you out there by yourself just practicing short game putting, bit of long game, or what way does your practice routine work?
I don't really have a routine in terms of practice. I think it changes, but I always try and get on the golf course whenever I can. I think the basis of the work that I've been doing over the last few years has been like pressure-based work. So putting myself under pressure when I'm playing at home on my own or with my performance coach there. The key is for me to get under pressure and try and simulate actually playing golf tournaments. And I feel that's been the way that's been what's helped me improve so much over the last say year and a half.
And is that like your performance coach taking 50 quid off you if you hit a bad shot, or how do you do that?
I wish it was only 50 quid.
Oh, I love it. Morris, we should try that next time we're playing.
I don't know. The way you play.
Yeah, Cormac, in terms of when we're looking ahead to the summer and looking ahead to the season that we might have and hopefully will have, was there one tournament apart from the Irish Open that you'd sort of looked at and said, "Oh, that's the one for me"?
in terms of what I would like to win.
No, in terms that you were really looking forward to, that you'd really sort of looked at your schedule and thought, oh, I want to play there because of the course or because of the field. Or
Obviously, I really would love to qualify for the Open, so to play an Open Championship would have been something that I would really have looked forward to. But the Irish Open's always great. The crowds, I love playing in front of crowds and getting that feeling of like the crowds being behind you. I really feel like I thrive in that atmosphere. So I was just looking forward to playing any event where I could get a bit of a crowd. And obviously, any week that you get into contention, you're going to get those feelings. So I was just looking forward to being under pressure and feeling the atmosphere of being in contention.
have you ever played in Dubai at any of the have you played in that part of the world? Because obviously this season, European Tour season builds towards the DP World Championship, and we don't know what's going to happen. But obviously, with the Masters getting moved towards November, it's going to have to be moved somewhere. But is it, have you played much out there?
Yeah, I've actually played that course. I was practicing there before the season kind of kicked off for me.
Okay.
So obviously that would be a great event to be a part of. Yeah, that would be something I would look forward to.
Did you feel that your season had got a bit of momentum just before the rug was pulled out from underneath everybody?
Yeah, I wouldn't say so. I feel like I was playing. I felt like my game was quite good, and I wasn't getting anything out of it. Like I think I led strokes gained to the green in Oman and came 36th. So like, I felt like I probably, looking back at it now, I probably felt like I probably maybe needed to work on a few things, say mentally or process wise. So I think this break is gonna bring me back a much better player. So I'm just kind of focusing on the things I have to do at the minute. But yeah, that's basically the gist of it.
Yeah. And you got a new coffee machine, which is obviously big news.
That is the best. Like I ordered it last week, and it was supposed to arrive yesterday, and it didn't arrive, and I was devastated.
It's the small things when you're stuck inside it.
Stuff. I mean, coffee. I'm a big coffee enthusiast. So,
is this your guilty secret? You're a coffee snob.
If anyone who knows me, you can ask Johnny Caldwell. Ask Johnny Caldwell what's Cormac like with his coffee. He slags me all the time.
That's brilliant. That's brilliant.
Well, I hate to break up this coffee chat, but we've had our advisory notice from Zoom to say you haven't paid for the subscription, so they're cutting us off shortly. Cheapskates that we are. Cormac, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us. It's been really insightful, and thank you so much. And fingers crossed, when we all get back to playing, you'll be kicking it off rightly later in the year.
Yeah, cheers, Morris. Thanks. Cheers.
Thanks. Thanks, Cormac. See you later.
Thanks, Cormac. Thanks. Now, PK, hold up our sign from our sponsor. And when we all get back to you, he's made a wee sign. Isn't that lovely?
Look at that there. Eh? Thanks to our sponsors.
We don't need backdrops. We don't need projections. We've just got a wee printed out sign.
We have more sponsors than me, for God's sake.
If we ever get back to normality, fingers crossed. Right, that's it from us. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. We'll try and stick it up as a podcast as well. And until lockdown episode 3, take care. There's no golf, but we're lobbying as hard as we can. So say bye-bye, PK.
See you later.
Thanks.
Cheers,
Thanks, Cormac. Bye.
Bye.